Hey everyone, welcome to the Office Hours Dartmouth edition. I'm Jay Mentrick. I'm a member of the class of 2013, and I'm your host this week. Happy Homecoming Week to all of you from here in Hanover, New Hampshire. This week to celebrate homecoming, our Office Hours is dedicated specifically to homecoming, and we're here with Alex, who's a member of the class of 2014. Want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep, thanks. My name's Alex. I'm a member of the class of 2014. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I am the Bonfire Build Chair for this year. My major is, I'm thinking of majoring in psychology and neuroscience.
Very cool. So for those of you who've watched before, welcome back. We're glad to have you back. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'll just explain Office Hours really quickly to you. On the Tuesday edition show, the Dartmouth edition show, you have your host who's going to interview a guest about a certain topic. And we'll be here, and in the chat room that you guys all have access to, you can go ahead and type your questions, and I'll read your questions and ask him toward the end of the show. So that will be something that's very interesting. So definitely get your questions into the chat room and let me know what you're thinking about when you're watching the show and if any questions seem to come up. So at Dartmouth, Alex, you might not know yet because you're just a freshman, but there's a really strong sense of tradition around homecoming, and it's a very important weekend and welcoming the class that is the freshman class. And so you'll go through this Friday with the bonfire and Dartmouth night and stuff like that. But do you want to understand or explain what homecoming is to you so far and what you think might be happening on Friday?
Okay, so the basic idea of homecoming is the biggest reunion of the entire Dartmouth community. There will have all four current classes will be there. Plus, as of current count, there are 45 classes of alumni that will be converging on Hanover, and so it's basically a huge bonding of the Dartmouth community here and at large.
Very, very true. So this Friday night is Dartmouth night, and a tradition at Dartmouth night is to have this huge bonfire. Can you tell us how tall the bonfire is? You might know.
Okay, well, the bonfire, in terms of feet, I'm not sure the exact footage, but it's 55 layers of logs with a 6-foot tall 14 on top of it, which will be burning the center of the green with the entire class of 14 running around it 214 times for our year. And the entire Dartmouth community, upperclassmen and alums, will be all around the green cheering us on and encouraging us all the way.
So this is a massive structure that the freshman class gets together and builds right in the middle of the green. And for any of you who have been to Dartmouth or seen pictures, the green is our central area of campus. And right in the middle, it's where all the pathways and walkways converge. And starting, what day are you going to start the build?
Thursday morning.
Starting Thursday morning, members of the class of 2014 will get together and put all these logs together and stack them up very, very high in a very well-engineered structure to become this bonfire. So it'll take about how long for you guys to put it together?
Well, assuming cooperation with the weather and plenty of support, because it's totally volunteer-based, and so we encourage the entire class to come out and build this, it should take us all day Thursday and the beginning of the day Friday. So Friday at noon, which is one of the coolest aspects of the bonfire, is that once the bonfire itself is done, every single housing cluster has boards that will go up onto the bonfire that everyone can sign. And then this year it's a new tradition that when you build a bonfire, you can sign the bonfire, so you can actually get your name on this greatest of Dartmouth traditions. Then once it's done, you actually get to climb up there onto the structure itself and take lots of pictures with all your friends, and then burn it down later that night.
Exactly. So imagine a fire pit or a fire structure in your backyard, multiply it by like 50. This thing is huge. It is a huge fire, very warm. I know that I'll be wearing shorts and a t-shirt out here in Hanover weather on Friday night because this thing is so hot. But it's a very cool tradition. So this bonfire is built in the middle of the green, and that's kind of the central aspect of the homecoming weekend. And as Alex said, a bunch of alums will converge on Hanover. So this is the 14's welcome to the college community at large. So a bunch of administrators will be there. All of the upperclassmen will be at the bonfire, and alums from how many classes?
45.
45 classes will be present at the bonfire, standing around, filling the green up. Again, if you've seen this green, this is a massive place, and it is full of people. So you have the bonfire in the middle, a running lane around it, which we'll talk about in just a second, and then just swarms and swarms of people around cheering on the class of 2014 as they begin their run around the bonfire. So do you want to explain really quickly kind of what the run is and where it comes from?
Okay, well, so the tradition of the run is that every class runs around the bonfire the number of laps according to what year they are. So again, we're 2014, so we will run around 214 times if we so choose. And as has developed in Dartmouth tradition, the upperclassmen taunt us with being the worst class ever, and so our goal is to change. The idea is that the freshmen change this opinion to become, to their class to become the best class ever.
Absolutely. So last year with the Bonfire, it was my year, and I was the class of 2013. So the tradition is, and the story says, that when the bonfire started, you would run around the fire for as many times as your class year. So the class of 1978, for example, would run around the bonfire 78 times. But then something awkward happened when we reached 2000, and it was 00, so they made it 100. So from that point forward, they've made it 100 times plus your class year. So that tradition is somewhat carried on with people choosing to run around 113 or 114 times. I personally opted with the original tradition to run around only 13 times, but it's very cool. So the whole class is together in this wide running lane around the bonfire, standing there waiting for the bonfire to be lit. And when the bonfire is lit, it's engulfed in flames, and the class starts to run around it for every time. And like Alex said, the upperclassmen stand around the circle and are talking to them. And this is the first time I've ever seen a Dartmouth student not happy and excited that I was here. And they do taunt the freshmen a little bit, telling them that they're the worst class ever. But once they're done running, and once they reach a certain number of laps, the opinion of the upperclassmen changes a little bit, and it starts to become very supportive and cheering on of the freshmen as they continue in their expedition around the circle. And it's great. They pull out water for them so that they can have water breaks and stuff like that. So when you run 114 laps around the bonfire, just so you guys get an idea of how massive this is, what do you think that converts to in miles?
Someone told me something like 10 miles.
Yeah, so if you make it the whole way around all 114 laps, you're running about 10 miles around this bonfire. So you guys can see just how massive this structure is and how much of a commitment it is to stand there and run around it. So an interesting thing to talk about is the way that the classes get there. And this is, again, another really strong tradition that we have at Dartmouth, something that brings the class together a lot and brings them toward the alumni. So do you want to talk about what we call the sweep?
Okay. So the sweep is this giant, well-organized, sometimes less than well-organized, mob of freshmen that it starts at the river, which is the farthest cluster from the green, and it winds its way throughout the campus, picking up all the freshmen as it passes each cluster. And so it starts small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then by the time it reaches the green, it contains all 1,200 freshmen. And then I don't know, what else there's?
Yeah, so it starts, like Alex said, in the river cluster, which is the farthest cluster from the middle of the green. And all the students, before your cluster, there's a little event to get people together. We'll talk about that more in a second. But everyone gets together and starts this march toward the green. So it starts at this first cluster, and the 200 or so students who live there will start the march that's led. Is it led by the marching band, do you know?
The marching band will be there. In fact, there are two parades going on. While we have our sweep, the alumni actually have a giant alumni parade that kind of winds its way throughout Hanover and actually converges with the freshmen at some point in time, and so the parade just gets absolutely massive.
Yeah, absolutely. So it starts in this river cluster, and it goes by cluster to cluster, picking up about 200 to 300 more students at a time. So by the time it goes through the last cluster and is winding through the streets of Hanover, you have about 1,200 students together, marching as a unified group, all wearing shirts that say Dartmouth 14, walking around being led by a big banner that says Class of 2014. And you walk around through all the clusters and then through the streets of Hanover, so down through Main Street, and all sorts of community members and alumni are lining the streets, cheering for them as they go. And as Alex said, on Main Street, the two parades converge. So the alumni lead the way for the 14s to go through, and then the alumni stop and wait on the green. The 14s parade up around through the green by Bakerberry Library, for those of you who have been here, and then enter this circle and wait for the bonfire to be lit, and then the night starts. So before the sweep, there's something that I mentioned before called the sweep, the pre-sweep party. So you want to talk about that for a little bit?
So basically what happens is, in order for the sweep to pick up the cluster in mass, before the sweep gets to your cluster, you have a large party with food, lots of pizza, lots of water, lots of candy. I was talking to the bonfire chairs. They have this year they ordered, like for example, we're going to have a bunch of tattoos with like a D and a 14. There's going to be face paint. There's going to be lots and lots of flair, And so you get ready, then you eat, because running around the bonfire is very exhausting and tiring, and you need to be full for that. So everyone gets plenty of nourishment, and then everyone just becomes part of this huge group, and it just converges and becomes a massive party.
Absolutely. It's very, very true. So very quickly, just to reference something that Alex said, flair is a unique thing to Dartmouth. It's kind of all sorts of crazy clothes. So think your mom's old Christmas sweater with glued-on ornaments or a bright colored pair of leggings or something like that. Any sort of outfit that you would not normally wear on a normal day becomes flair and something that is worn for special occasions. So for the sweep, I know that there's a lot of work and preparation that goes into it. And like Alex said, there's a lot of food and a lot of water to get these freshmen ready for this night, for their endurance, and to make sure that they're hydrated and well fed. But also at the same time, there's a lot of these things that he talked about, these kind of things that make people seem very spirited. So there's face paint, hair dye, tattoos, Dartmouth tattoos, and all sorts of stuff like that. So I know last year I spent some time with my friends. We went to this pre-sweep party, got some pizza, some water, and we spent our time making handprints on our faces of green paint, putting tattoos all down our arms, dyeing our hair in swirls and stuff like that. And we looked kind of ridiculous, but it's something that's very unique to Dartmouth and really shows the school spirit that we have here that comes out a lot of times, but especially on Dartmouth Night at Homecoming. So after getting decked out in all these kind of strange get-ups and looking a little absurd to people from the outside world, you'll just notice people wearing their Dartmouth clothing, their jerseys, which are those shirts that say Dartmouth and your class year, green faces, green arms, green hair, everything is green. And then just standing around waiting, being so excited. I remember so many pictures being taken with my friends, people just high-fiving each other and just getting very motivated and very excited and happy about this thing that they're about to embark on, which is an amazing and very incredible experience, and something that's unique to Dartmouth and unique to the freshman year. So do you want to talk about some things that you and your friends are looking forward to, or that you've heard about or excited for this weekend and for the bonfire and homecoming?
Well, just, I mean, the general consensus is that it's just an absolutely amazing night, and I'm feeling that, you know, upperclassmen aren't telling us everything that's going to happen. Maybe some things are going to come out as surprises, but I certainly look forward to whatever may pop up. I mean, I've been really involved in the organization of this, so it's like I know the basic idea of what's going to happen, but that being said, I feel that there's going to be a lot more than that I have absolutely no clue about. That will be just as amazing as what is planned.
Yeah. So a lot of things at Dartmouth, there are surprises that go on from generation to generation and somehow are kept secret and kept inside. So a lot of very cool things happen. So that's what Alex was referencing when he said that he wasn't sure what would be happening. But I just wanted to say that it's a very exciting time and something that you don't realize until you are a part of the freshman sweep and a part of homecoming. But it's something very special and very unique to the freshmen, and it's a welcome to the college and the life through, as I said, the administrators and the community members and the alumni and stuff like that. And it's a very special, very powerful experience that's very unique and very fun for you to go through when you are a freshman and at your first bonfire. So as Alex said, he's the build chair, and so he's in charge of building this structure that's going to start on Thursday. It's a very ambitious task and something that I'm sure he has the drive to take on and will finish in the end. But can you tell us how you got selected to be the build chair?
I kind of there's a selection process where at first you attend a meeting that, you know, this whole thing was explained, that these are the roles, these are the positions to be filled, and then you apply for a position and you go in an interview, and then if you satisfy the criteria, then you get selected, basically.
Yeah.
To do whatever. I know there's the spirit chairs actually, or the bonfire chairs, who organize all the cluster parties, organize the sweep, had a completely different criteria from like the build chair, which I'm more inclined to than getting everyone in green face paint.
Yeah. So Alex is the build chair. What other sorts of chairs are there around the bonfire?
There are two bonfire chairs, who this year are Rohel Premji and Julianne Haldeman, and then under them they have established a nice hierarchy chain of command where They're at the top. Then every single cluster has a cluster spirit chair, and then like individual houses have spirit reps. And so basically, it's very well organized and very enthusiastic. In that way, it's very much more manageable than having 3 people trying to get 3,000 or 1,200 people excited.
So Alex referenced clusters, which are our freshman dormitory clusters. So it's a group of dorms and students that live there. They plan a lot of activities together. I actually had a meeting with some of the spirit chairs last night, and they have great ideas about getting people pumped up and excited. Again, a lot of pizza and water purchased, and a lot of tattoos and face paint and hair dye and stuff like that. So that's something that's very cool. What do the Bonfire chairs what are they responsible for? Just establishing the hierarchy, or?
Well, they, for example, they're responsible also for the homecoming T-shirt designs, to organize that and select that. They spoke with, they found the best deals and the best designs for the T-shirts. There was actually this year there was a reward for the best T-shirt design. So we're all really excited to see how those T-shirts turn out. So there's that. They set up the sweeps, and in fact, I mean, I'm sure there's many things. They've had many meetings with many people. For example, every cluster has a faculty member who is responsible for the cluster and organizing events for that cluster. And so they've met with them multiple times. And in fact, there's many things that they've done that I have absolutely no idea about. But whatever they did, it's making this thing work. So
there's a lot of work and a lot of organization that goes into this kind of thing. It's been going on for years. Like I said before, the bonfire is perfectly engineered to make sure that it stands up for the whole time, and when it collapses inward. It's a lot of thought is put into this night because it is so special and it is so important that it needs to all go right. So the hard work of Alex and these other chairs are things that really make it all come together and make it a very amazing and special experience. So this is something that I've always wondered, and I'd love to get in on if you can help me out. Who actually lights the bonfire?
Okay, so the bonfire lighting it's lit by 6 members of the class of 14. It will be me, Julie, and Rohel, and then 3 people that we choose from the class. And as a rule, it's students that have demonstrated exceptional involvement in the bonfire. And for example, it could be a student that is out there on the green working the whole time, or it could be someone behind the scenes getting the entire class, organizing the class to come out and build a bonfire, which is we always need more people.
Absolutely. So is it always like that? It is always the bonfire chairs and the build chair and then 3 students selected?
Yes.
So I don't have a shot at lighting the bonfire this year.
Well, you're a 13, so
no. My luck is out. I should have jumped on that last year. So for all of you looking to come here, just know, be very involved in the bonfire if you ever want to light it. And something else that's very cool about the bonfire that unites a lot of people are these panels that Alex described earlier. So can you go more in depth about that and let us know how many panels there are and stuff, kind of information like that?
Okay, so without going into too much detail on the bonfire, the structure itself, the bottom is a star that has 12 faces on it. And each one of those faces is going to be covered in board. And the boards are going to be decorated by, there are 6 freshman clusters?
5.
5. So there's 5 clusters. So 5 of the faces are going to have boards that are going to be decorated by people representing their cluster. So I'm in the Choates. The Choates will have their own cluster. There's another, McLaughlin will have its own. And then the rest of the boards are actually given to clubs. And so every club has the ability to buy a face, basically, and then put on that face, within reason, whatever they want. And so, like, a Dartmouth tradition is the ski team tries to get on as many boards as they can before they get kicked out for some, I don't know, whatever. And so those boards decorate the sides of the star and basically are a great way. Before this year was the only way that you could get your name on the bonfire, and then this year it's hopefully, well, I don't know if that tradition will carry on. That's up to whoever's in charge next year. Which one of you is going to be in charge of it next year? It's up to you.
Yeah, so it's very, very cool. Like Alex said, there are these huge planks of wood, probably like 7 or 8 feet tall.
4 by 8,
about
I think.
4 feet wide. Yeah, there we go, 4 by 8.
1 3/4, but that's
4 3/4 by 8. And so they're huge boards, and these groups and organizations can purchase them, and all the freshman clusters get them, and they can decorate them how they see fit. And It's a lot of heavy-duty markers and stuff like that going on to these things, some witty jokes, some cool pictures, some meaningful quotes, names of groups and organizations, mostly decorated by the freshmen in the groups and stuff like that. So they design these boards, and then on probably Friday, is it Friday that they go up?
Yeah, Friday. Thursday they go, they're built, designed, and then Friday, as soon as they can, they go up.
So they design them on Thursday, and then they're up on Friday. So if you've ever seen a picture of the bonfire, I think that one was just posted in the chat. They're the panels at the bottom, and they're very cool, very original. It's always incredible to me to see what people come up with and what they design. And they're put up on the board, and it's a great way to make the bonfire look good, but also publicize and get the word out about your organization and stuff like that. So that's something that I think is very cool and interesting about the bonfire. What else do you think is like special or important about the bonfire? Or any cool or fun facts that you have from your insider information that I might not?
Well, fun fact is the bonfire, it burns extremely hot, so hot in fact that there's a circle of radius 100 feet that if you get anywhere closer than 100 feet, basically you'll get baked. There's always a tradition of that the upperclassmen touch the fire, which theoretically is supposed to get the freshmen touch the fire, but last year no one tried to touch the fire, partly because it was so hot, and I think that will happen again this year, that people will shout it, but I don't think anyone's going to want to get any closer they're skin fried.
Yeah, it is very hot, and it's a huge fire. I think last year it burned for about an hour and a half. And if you've ever seen a picture of it burning, it's posted in the chat. It's a very big fire, and it's just kind of like even larger in real life when you're there. But as Alex referenced, there is this radius of about 100 feet. It's roped off, but also members of safety and security, which are our campus safety department, kind of like our campus police, stand around it, and they lock arms and kind of are playing Red Rover and making sure that nobody's coming over too close to the fire and stuff like that. So it's very safe and very protected. So you have this wall of safety and security making sure that nobody's getting too close to the fire because it is so hot. But also on the other side, you're surrounded by thousands and thousands of cheering fans and people encouraging you to run around the fire. But last year, I know personally, it was a very windy night, so the radius had to be shifted a little bit over because the wind was blowing, so the fire was blowing a little bit too. And it's hot, and when you're running, it gets even hotter, so a lot of people, it's very weird. Last year, I think it was about 40 degrees and raining, but people are wearing shorts and T-shirts and running around this fire, and it's a funny thing to see.
Well, all that being said, it is very hot, but a lot of effort is put into make it as safe as possible. And if, in the event that you choose that it's too hot, there's an exit that's been well established and will be always there, and so there's no actual risk to the 14s.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing up that point. And along with that, and as I said before, it's very well organized. This has happened so many times that people know what they're doing, and it's kept very safe, and the students' safety is definitely the #1 interest in mind. So this is our main part of homecoming, and this is our biggest event with about a lot of the groups, the a cappella groups who are singing, the Glee Club who is singing, a lot of performances, a speech by the president. This is our central focus of the homecoming weekend, but there are also some other things that keep this weekend going and keep it together. Can you speak to any of the other events that are happening?
Okay, so so the basic idea is that this year homecoming falls on the same time as Halloween, so there's going to be a lot of Halloween parties immediately following the fire. But there's many organizations that sponsor events. For example, there's apple cider and donuts that are going to be available. There are going to be s'mores that are available. Can't roast them on the actual bonfire, but there will be smaller fire pits where you can roast s'mores. There'll be a dance in the student center. There'll also be, I think there will be some bands coming at some point in time who will be playing there also.
So there are events all throughout the night to make sure that students are having fun and having a great time throughout the whole night before and after the fire. So we have those parties before and the dance party after. And then on Saturday there are a lot of events and performances by a lot of the student performance groups, the varsity football game, a bunch of other sports games and stuff like that, keeping the spirit going. So it's a very spirit-filled weekend. It takes a lot of energy, but it's so fun, and everyone at Dartmouth is so close together. And the one thing thing that everyone in this diverse student body has in common is the love for Dartmouth. So it's great to see it all the time, but this weekend is an especially special time where they can see the spirit shown throughout the weekend. We'll go ahead and take a few of the questions from the chat right now. So I'll let you go ahead and take this one. This question's from John B. Have you felt welcome to the college before the bonfire, though? So you've been here for, I think, 4 or 5 weeks now. So do you want to talk about being welcomed?
One of the things about a college that is small, what I think is one of the most unique features of Dartmouth is that every class is a very important contribution as a whole, and as you usually don't. For example, when you're walking along, you'll meet a lot of people, and then during the course of your day, you will run into them all the time. And so, because you see so many people, it brings everyone together. You don't feel like you're strangers with the college, and you bond kind of with the classes above you, and I'm presuming the classes below you. And it's definitely a very, very welcoming experience.
It's a very close-knit community, and I'm visiting and looking at colleges and coming here. Something that I was amazed about was how much older students had this love and passion for not only me as a prospective student, but me as a freshman as well. And they're just very welcoming. They want to get to know you. That speaks to the small size of the school and stuff like that. But it is a very welcoming place, and there are a bunch of welcoming events and rituals that go on before orientation, during orientation, and in your first weeks at the college. But you're definitely very, very welcomed to the college before the bonfire, but it's kind of your first welcome to the college as a whole, so with the alums and the town of Hanover and stuff like that. So it's a special place to be for 4 years of college, and somewhere where you're loved for who you are the minute you get here, not because of who you define yourself to be. So that's something that I think is very, very unique. And I'm sure that you've felt it when you've been here. And for those of you who visited, you might have felt some of that enthusiasm as well. And if not, you'll feel it when you do visit or when you do get here.
Come to Dimensions.
Yeah. Dimensions is our accepted students weekend in the spring. So we're a little ahead of the game on that one, but hopefully you all will be here for that weekend. So that's about all the time that we have for today. Thanks for watching the Office Hours Dartmouth edition. We have something special going on this week on Thursday. Instead of student edition, we have the Office Hours Admissions edition. So this will be a special time and a special show. It'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will actually be hosted by our Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid, Maria Lascaris, who will be answering any last-minute application tips and questions that you guys have. So for those of you applying early decision, this is especially important. Log on, ask your questions, post your questions. A student and Dean Maria Lascaris will be here answering your questions on tips for any last-minute questions or anything that you need help with on your application. And good luck to all of you who are applying early decision. The next time I'm on here and talking to you, you'll be sitting, waiting, twiddling your thumbs, not sleeping a little bit just like I was 2 years ago. So thanks for watching. Good luck with your applications and stuff like that. And tune in Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for the Office Hours Admissions Edition. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.